Hey everybody, back here at the spin cycle. I like my new studio slash office. The walls kind of came like that. I haven't had time to do anything about them yet. But I thought I'd get on here today, and I've been getting a lot of replies, a lot of comments. So I'm going to go over some of my comments. I figured I'd do it on the 9x16 live here because I'm having trouble with my internet connection. I'm only getting about 7 megabytes per second. The internet company's got to work on it, but for now, I'm going to do this live shorts deal. I think it kind of introduces me to new audiences anyway. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, if you guys are new, subscribe. Send a super chat if you want to help out the channel. So I have a short video up, you can check it out right now about, the beef industry. It's been in the news for a while. Some of the comments I got on it, if you look at the video, you'll see, drive by a cattle company every day, over $120,000 pickup trucks in the lot. They are profiting big time. That's true. Ranchers, most people who own ranches, I've said this before, or farms in the U.S., are millionaires. They might not have millions in the bank, but they have millions in assets. Land in the U.S. is, crazy. Like, for instance, I have a friend in Colorado where I live. He's much older than me. He's 85 years old. His family established a ranch there in 1865, I think. And he inherited that ranch, and his 38-year-old son inherited it from him, and it's 4,000 acre ranch. So, these guys, it is a cattle ranch, and he's a good friend of mine. We don't agree at all on politics, but, he inherited this ranch from his family. That's nepotism, just like Trump got his $400 million when he turned whatever from his dad. And, although my friend, he doesn't have tons of cash, he always drives a brand new big pickup truck. He's got assets, so he could take loans out on his assets. And, his son inherited from 4,000 acres in Colorado. That's worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. So they may not be cash rich, these ranchers, but they're rich. Having the land to borrow against is almost as good as just having the cash in the bank. Are you trans ass? What does that mean? Develop Bill 1152. Trans ass? Greta Garbage said hi. How are you, Greta? Go ahead and subscribe if you're new to the channel. This channel is all about politics and current events in the U.S. and other countries. Do I look trans? No, I'm not trans. Would I be a girl that converted to a man? Some people ask ridiculous questions on these things, but it doesn't really bother me. So some of the comments I got on that video about beef farmers, that one, I just don't feel sorry for the farmers, but I feel for the people paying ridiculous prices. Yeah, beef is crazy expensive right now. Then one guy said, this is one of my MAGA watchers, prepared statement from the leftist propaganda. Both sides do propaganda, but I don't think the beef issues in the country right now are propaganda. I mean, you could see it for yourselves. Go and pick up a top sirloin or a steak at the supermarket and tell me it's propaganda that it costs 30 or 40% more than it did a year ago. From abroad, American politics is beyond toxic. Yeah, I agree. It's beyond toxic. It's crazy. Um, we do need to take it down a level. I consider myself a progressive, but I'm not a crazy progressive on social issues. I think, some leftists take it too far, but I'm an economic progressive, and that's all I really care to talk about is economics. Maybe some social issues, I talk a little about religion because I'm an atheist. I know people on here are always saying, Jesus will save you or whatever. But, I have a master's degree in geology, and if you study science for that many years, you just realize there's no logical conclusion that comes to religion being the answer to everything. I mean, I'm fine with people who have faith, but I just don't. So another comment, it's all a calculated plan to further bankrupt U.S. cattle producers and enable their buyout by investment capital. The big problem with that is bankers don't know how to produce cattle. And I don't think bankers want to produce cattle. They just want to take the profits from producing cattle. Bankers don't know how to do anything really but take profits. That's what they do. And hedge fund managers, bankers, they're really just middlemen. They're in there, they loan money and they invest money and they take profits. And they don't really produce anything. They don't make anything. So as far as the cattle ranchers go, they want to take them over, yeah, but they just want to take them over, extract the wealth out of them, and then get rid of them, basically. Or, do what they do with the housing market now, become landlords and have other people run them for as little as they could pay them and take all the profit in that way. So one guy's opinion answered that last comment. I see no evidence of that. In fact, a group of farmers are looking to buy their own slaughterhouse to make more profits. What I see are the same thing we see all over. If I sell less but at a higher margin, it'll make more profits. I'll make more profits. True. I mean, that's basically, as long as the demand's there, then you could cut the supply and charge more money. And yeah, I mean, it's a capitalist paradigm, really. It's what capitalism does. The problem with the capitalist system in the United States, it's been rigged by the wealthy to favor them, to favor money. Money makes money. So if you don't start out with money, your chances of making money, like the so-called American dream, are very, very slim. I mean, making, real, you don't give a fuck about anything money. I donated $20. Fran Franks. No, you didn't. You did? To who? The most unfree people of any first world countries. The Americans, yeah, we're slaves to jobs. I mean, if you don't work 80, 100 hours a week in the U.S., I mean, if you're a regular person like me, if you don't work that kind of hours, you are not going to survive. I mean, it's the most expensive place on the planet, I think. I don't know, I haven't spent too much time in Europe, which is also expensive, but Europe has the social programs basically social backstops. In the US, if you have a heart attack, even if you have health insurance, you could go into bankruptcy. And then what? Then you're on, if you're lucky to be 65, you go on Social Security and you live on $1,500 a month, which you can't even rent a one-bedroom flat in the US for $1,500 a month. Yeah, keep the comments coming, guys. The most, yeah, I saw the most same comment. Go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for the likes. Cattle need to be replaced with bison. Solves problems on multiple levels. Huh. I mean, that is interesting. I would like to hear more about that. Bison are free roaming. I definitely am aware of bison ranches in Colorado where I live. Lanio, 1933, said hi. Is 1933 when you were born? That's the year my mom was born. She had me when she was 38 or 39 years old. Unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago. But yeah, that's the year she was born. Am I high? No, not high. You'd know if I was high, I wouldn't be talking as much. But yeah, I do live in Colorado, so it's legal to get high. Right now, I spend my winters in the Philippines. That's why it's morning for you guys and it's dark here. I'll probably end up retiring in 10 years here in the Philippines just because, I have a fiance and a kid here, but besides that is here in the Philippines, I, can live for much, much cheaper than in the US. And I do, in the last decade or so, I have made some investments and stuff, but it's not going to be enough to retire like in the, in the U.S., living in Florida, like in Mar-a-Lago, like Trump. But, I was born in the negative. Yeah. My mom, I was raised by a single mother with 5 kids, so I was already in debt when I started working. If you don't understand that, then you don't understand poverty in the U.S. Somebody said about the bison solving everything. True, they are more efficient because it's where they are from. The bison, true, yeah, they're not imported there. But, I don't know if you could have the amount of bison just because they're much more wild animals than cattle. They're very fierce. If you've ever been around a bison, they will kill you. But it's a good idea. I'm definitely willing to. I'll do some research on it. Upstate New York. Where in upstate New York? I've had many adventures in upstate New York. I grew up in downstate, Long Island, exit 41 on the LIE. One of my first girlfriends was in Walden, New York when I was like 15. One of my friends from school introduced me to her. Your sister raised bison. Cool. I've eaten bison. It's good meat. It's lean, It costs a lot more than, like in the grocery store, probably anywhere in the country now, but in Colorado you can buy it any time. Hudson, New York. Oh, Hudson, yeah, it's beautiful up there. My last car, I was in New York and I bought this was some years ago because it's a 2010, I'm still driving it, a 2010 hybrid I bought in the Hudson Valley from some guy I met online on this hybrid Facebook page. Just south of Albany, yeah. How's the weather up there now? You getting that lake effect weather? Cloudy, cold? I know it's getting better with climate change, but well after Israel, I don't know what that means. So one of the things I like to do on here is, if you guys aren't subscribers, subscribe. I'm doing more live feeds, and I do regular live feeds and these vertical live feeds I'm just getting into. Little snow last night. Yeah, it's supposed to, I think they're getting hit with snow today in Colorado where I live most of the year. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I don't have any water. So I like to look at what's trending on X on my channel too. If you go on my live feeds when I do them on the regular lives, you can see the screen I'm looking at now. But right now, I guess you could see it. I can do that. It's kind of big. That doesn't really work. I noticed on X that there's a lot of little polls. Delete one thing from Earth that you think would make it better. Delete one thing from Earth that you think it would make it better. I saw this poll the other day. I would imagine a lot of people say Donald Trump, but I would say billionaires. I mean, Elon Musk is about to get $1 trillion paycheck, and there's people who can't buy food in the U.S. It's just crazy. Inequality is getting really out of control. Liberals. You're on the wrong live feed, my friend. But I don't really call myself a liberal, but I am a progressive. I think unhinged capitalism doesn't work. I think, we need some more socialism in our government, like democratic socialism, like Mamdani type socialism, where you could put a cap on rents and just make stuff more affordable for regular people. Democratic socialism or socialism in general. A lot of people don't understand socialism. They conflate it with communism. Socialism is actually the means of production in the hands of the workers rather than the oligarchs. So if you work in a factory with 100 other people, you and those 100 other people own the factory, not one guy who's making all the profit, paying you as little as possible, getting as much work out of you for as little money as possible. I think those things do work. People say socialism doesn't work, but you look at places like Denmark and Norway, it does work. It's just people conflate socialism with communism. Like the old Soviet Union was not socialism. It was communism, and it was like communist. It was communism in the worst way, not really the way that like communism was defined in the Communist Manifesto. That sounds like my job. What's your job? Yeah, unions try to solve this problem, but unions have the last 50 years, conservatives and Democrats and Republicans, they both have a lot of conservatives in the party, have basically wrecked unions and taken all the power from unions. And there is issues with unions. Like when I was in high school and I worked in a grocery store, I didn't want to join the union because I didn't want to pay the dues. I didn't understand it at the time. But unions were also they kind of led to their own demise in some ways by becoming really corrupt. Especially like the Teamsters. They're just stealing money out of the coffers. The people who run the union. Technician for Hearth Distributor. What does Hearth Distributor distribute? Hearths? Or some kind of medical gear or something? So you get a cut of the profits, I take it, or you get stock options, something like that. Yeah, get you a 1% pay raise and give themselves a 5% pay raise. And after 50 years of doing that, that's why CEOs make 300, 400, 500 times what their median paid worker makes now. Pellet stoves. Ah, cool. Yeah, I lived in a house once with a pellet stove. Those are pretty efficient. I didn't live there for very long, and I was just a roommate. But yeah, you don't see many pellet stoves like where I grew up in New York. You see more in Colorado. But yeah, fortunately here in the Philippines, you don't need a stove at all. You just need an air conditioner. I just do tech work over the phone. Ah, that sounds like a great job. So you can be home with your family, you don't have to commute. I once was a teacher in New York City. I don't want to get into the whole story, but I graduated with my geology degree, years ago, and I went back home to New York and got into the New York teaching fellows program, and I thought it was great. They would pay me at the time, it was like $60,000 a year, a good amount of money in New York at the time. But no matter where I seemed to live, I always had like a 1.5 to 2 hour commute. I lived in Brooklyn, and then I was paying a lot of rent in Brooklyn, so I moved into my mom's house. She was living alone at the time. She needed my help anyway in Long Island, but even from Brooklyn to Long Island, it was still a 2 hour commute. Like, Brooklyn was a little better. It was like 2 subways and a train. You know, if you know how New York works, I was in like Bed-Stuy, I was staying, and Southern Brooklyn was where I had to commute to. So I had to take like a subway to Atlantic Station, and then it was a whole thing. But commuting is horrible. I lived in Brooklyn for a short time with my brother. Brooklyn's awesome as long as you don't have to work. Fort Hamilton, yeah. Fort Hamilton, yeah. That's the Army fort there. Yeah, I know the area. That's close to like the Jersey, the tunnel, right? Something like that. I haven't lived there in so long. I've never commuted in Boston, but I've been there a few times. But yeah, I've never commuted much there. I have a friend who lives out there. I guess it's not Boston, but I've been to Boston proper. But a friend who lives out there in the Berkshires, one of my kayak friends. Your brother was in the Army, huh? Makes sense. And he lived in Fort Tottenham. Yeah, I've heard of that. I don't know if I've ever been there. Toten. Yeah. Guys, I had a question, please. Mago Mix. Okay, Mago Mix. What's your question? Oh, this is funny. They have you can't see it right now. It's on. Some of the older guys might appreciate this. Can any of you boomers read this? Because it's in script. Gen Zers don't know how to read script or write it. Berkshire is not too far from here. Yeah, and it's beautiful there. And I also, when I was a very little kid, and my aunt took me up to a cabin there a few times, my aunt and my uncle and my cousins. And it must have been in the Berkshires. It was in Massachusetts, but what I remember most is catching those little orange salamanders. I mean, I was like maybe 10 years old. Dark-eyed lowlander. LOL. Looks like my mom's cursive. My mom actually had really good handwriting. I do not have good handwriting, but it looks kind of like my cursive. Beaten milk, spoon of salt. It's a recipe. Spoons of cornstarch. Yeah, I can kind of read it, but I'm not gonna. I don't really want to take the time to read it for him. Greetings, sir. Manhamp one. How are you? Jude Ray, gay. Guys, answer my question, please. What's your question? I didn't see the question. So since I have you guys here, which country, they have a lot of these quizzes or not quizzes, but questions, I guess, on X. Which country would you never visit even if the trip was free? I don't really have an answer for that. Maybe, I want to say Russia, but I would definitely think I would visit Russia. This Lake Baikal, or I think it's Lake Baikal. in Russia, I've always dreamed about going to for years. It's in Siberia. I just posted up, sir, are the accusations true? What accusations? Name something that's tougher than Trump. There's a lot of things tougher than Trump. I want to see what people have to say about that one. It could be amusing. Zero Dark 29. A Trump steak. Butter. Yes, butter is tougher than Donald. The hardest substance in the universe, uranium. Boom, cotton candy. Hemorrhoids. My morning dump. This is stuff that's tougher than Trump. I'm reading on X right now, if you guys just joined us. I really want to make a vagina joke, but there's no one to punch down on lower than him. Not that funny, but toilet paper, a snowflake, a melted one. The American people who care for actual freedom, not oppression. Diapers, they better be stronger. Everything is tougher than Trump. A worm, an ant, a baby ant, everything, Americans, soap bubbles. This is on X too. This is, I mean, other than Truth Social, it's basically Trump's, Trump's place. I mean, it is owned by Elon Musk, his bestest friend. Magoo mix, go back to Africa. Magoo mix. Read my question, guys, please. Magoo mix is born in Detroit. Yeah, that's a pretty racist thing to say, go back to Africa. Magoo, what's your question? Yeah, Magoo, nobody could see your question. Where are you posting it? You guys go ahead and subscribe. I'm doing a lot more lives on here. It's good fun. Okay, I'm gonna go to my next favorite. Are you guys Redditors? You ever read Reddit? There's a great Reddit called Inflation. The Inflation Reddit. I scrolled up quite a ways. It's not racist, I'm African. Well, South Africans, Africanos, they're very racist. They're African. I've met, and I know that firsthand. I used to be a whitewater raft guide. I've traveled all over the world doing that, and I met lots of South Africans, and I mean, this was going back 20 years or so, but a couple guys I met that just tell me outright how racist they are, how they believe they're superior to black people. We all came from Africa, yep. The out of Africa theory, yes, it's true. Hello from UK. Pray for us. For the UK. Brexit. You guys are still recovering from Brexit? No, Magoo Mix, we can't see your question. Yes, yeah, the UK, why are you guys fighting with Israel? I think most people are pissed at Israel because they're killing children in Gaza. That's your question? Why are people fighting with Israel? Why is Israel fighting with everybody else? They bomb every country around them every chance they get. Yeah, the UK does stand with Israel, so does the US, but Netanyahu's got to go. Magumix Saiba, ain't nobody care about your question. Starter has to go. Who's starter? Starmer. Curse Starmer, whatever his name is. Kerr Starmer. He's got a cool name, but yeah, he's too conservative. So now I'm on the Reddit inflation thread. Congrats on taxing Americans' consumer into poverty. Benny Johnson. New President Trump's tariffs generated a record-breaking $33 billion in the month of October alone. Someone check on the experts. Oh, we got a video. Let's do this. You guys can watch this. Oh, it's just a picture, not a video. Yeah, great. They're collecting all this Trump tariff money, but who's getting the tariff money? Tariff is taxes on the U.S. people. If they're collecting it, they're just getting more tax money from us, right? We pay payroll taxes, pay taxes on everything already. It's just an extra tax. Trump tariffs inflate prices. Trump's tariffs are driving up Thanksgiving costs. How much is a turkey in Thanksgiving this year? I'm in the Philippines here. They don't really celebrate Thanksgiving here. I usually get furloughed from my job in the winter, so I spend a couple months a year here in the Philippines. So I haven't had Thanksgiving since my mom passed away in 2021. I've been coming here, so I don't know. I guess a turkey then was around $25. How much is a turkey this year? Why doesn't Israel allow DNA tests? DNA tests for what? I have no idea. Trump's tariffs are driving up Thanksgiving costs. A bone and spiral ham, I never even heard it called that before, but a ham on a bone, I guess, is up 49%. That's a lot for pig. Fresh turkey is up 36%. I thought, wasn't JD Vance just on TV saying the other day that everything for Thanksgiving was down 25% from last year? Jellied cranberry sauce is up 22%. Elbow pasta is up 16%. And refrigerated pie crust is up 13%. I guess that was a post from Senator Elizabeth Warren. I'm sure Maggie hates her, but I tend to believe this is probably true. Why don't you guys tell me who are in the U.S. right now? Sorry guys, I gotta eat a throat thing here. Losing my voice. When I win, I will immediately bring prices down on day one. Trump. Me waiting on my 5K Doge check. Me waiting on my 5K Doge check. My 2K tariff divided inflation to drop. Taxes to drop. Jobs to come back. Release of the Epstein files and the price of food, gas, rent, and mortgages to go down. Yeah, day one, guys. Day one. Who would believe that? I don't know. You need to read more. Because Trump lied like, what, 30,000 times in his first term? And if you believed him on the campaign trail, he said whatever he had to say to keep out of jail. That's basically what he did. Veterans pay the price for Trump's tariff bill. This is Thanksgiving. Veterans face higher prices. That's basically saying the same thing, just with a veterans twist. thought maybe it was an old catalog until I saw the Christmas 2025 ornaments. Hallmark keepsake ornaments. I don't really buy Christmas ornaments. I mean, I guess I did a couple years ago. Okay, guys, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Oh, okay, I don't have to go. My fiance was calling me on the phone. I look like Billy Gay Cyrus. Want me to do the song? Don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart. I just don't think you'd understand. Did you all invite George Floyd to Thanksgiving dinner? Have that orange monster all you want. I don't want the orange monster at all. Melania wants him, I guess. But I have a feeling she's just in it for the cash. What do you think? Man, there's some racists on here. The George Floyd comment's too much. This Thanksgiving meal was $45. Oh my God, I don't even know if I'd eat that. Those are definitely, I guess I would if I was hungry enough. I'd eat the string beans. Those are definitely those boxed mashed potatoes. You can tell by, they got that like shiny look to them. I guess that's turkey. Maybe that's turkey. Oh yeah, that's stuffing and that's turkey. Cranberry mush. $45. I don't think I'd pay that. George Floyd was a criminal. So is Donald Trump. 34 convictions, right? Nobody's strangling him in the street. Because he's a rich white guy. Been how many months since Charlie Kirkson said a racist thing? Since, I don't know, when was he shot? July or something? Oh, it was September, right? I don't even know. Did you know Charlie Kirk's estate was worth $90 million? I mean, I kind of feel like he was in it for the money. Not that I can blame him, that's a lot of money. Just to say controversial, racist shit all the time. Yeah, for taking a loan out that he paid back, buddy. Oh yeah, that's the only thing Trump's ever done. Well, he didn't do an insurrection that he got away with because he ran for president again. Hi, man. Hi. Amand Hitchman, how are you? Hitchum? What is the topic? Oh, I'm reading off the inflation Reddit right now, but the topic is basically current events and politics in the U.S. is usually what I chat about on this channel, The Spin Cycle. Go ahead and subscribe. Dark-eyed lowlander. Matt C, thanks for your outdated jokes where you're just released from your boyfriend's in prison. And your mom's nipple. Interesting name. Then tell me what they locked them out for right now. Locked who out? I'm lost. Yeah, 33 bogus convictions shows how corrupt the Dems are. Everyone say it. Okay, man. Nobody believes you anymore. Everybody knows Trump's a criminal. You need to go to a psychiatrist and get that cult out of your brain. Will immigration be stopped for all third world countries? I don't even think Trump knows what countries there are in the world. He's not a very bright person. I know MAGA thinks he is, but yeah, he said that all the third world countries are going to be blocked from immigrating. I mean, I'm sure he's going to do something because he's got a lot of power right now, but it's all going to be reversed when he loses power and JD Vance gets shellacked in the 28 presidential election because nobody likes JD Vance, not even Republicans. They're all welcome in the UK, Ahmed. I believe everybody has a right to come over here, yeah. That America, my grandparents are Italian immigrants. They came over here in the 1920s. We're a country of immigrants. Trump's mother was an illegal immigrant. His wife was an illegal immigrant. His wife got here on an Epstein visa because she was hot and banging Jeffrey Epstein. Not an Epstein, Einstein visa, which is a visa reserved for very intelligent people. And I'm sorry, but Melania is not on that level of intelligence. And she's never done anything to prove she is. She's got, I think, a high school degree. And she doesn't speak 6 languages either. When was Trump locked up for? When you're a billionaire in the US, you don't get locked up. Occasionally some millionaires get locked up, but the US system is set up so if you have enough money, you can keep yourself out of jail no matter what you do. Jeffrey Epstein is the perfect example of that. Trump for hell 2028. Yeah. MTG 2028. MTG, she's just going with the wind. MTG was worth $750,000 when she came into Congress in 2021. You know how much she's worth now? $25 million. And it's all from insider trading, like knowing stuff about stocks, and most of it with weapons manufacturers. Because she was on I can't remember the name of the committee. Excuse me. One of the military budget committees. So she knew what companies they were going to buy a massive amount of weapons from, and then she would go in ahead of time, buy a bunch of their stock, and then it would go up double, triple, and she'd make a ton of money. She has a diploma, a high school diploma. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who do we owe our thanks to the destruction of the middle class? An argument can be made for Lewis Powell. He's who warned of the dangers of an educated proletariat. Yeah, so Lewis Powell, I'm not really that familiar with him, but I've heard of him. They're saying proletariat. They're saying that he might be responsible for the destruction because he encouraged the defunding of education in the U.S. and most MAGA is. That's why Trump says, "I love the uneducated," because they vote for him. They're dumb enough to vote for him. Sorry, MAGA guys on here, but it's the truth. Israel fails, we all fail. Why is that? Is that like a religious thing? You're nothing but a sad Trump hater, bro. Okay, bro, you're nothing but a sad Trump lover. Yeah, Netanyahu was Polish. I know that. His family came from Poland. He's not even Jewish. A lot of people in Israel now are not Jewish. A lot of the prime ministers, I mean, they're Jewish, but they're not, they weren't born and raised in Israel. A lot of the previous prime ministers are in the same situation. Israel is committing genocide. Yep. Education was better before the government got involved. When exactly was that? I mean, the government's been involved in education. When? Like when there was cowboys and Indians and stuff? Anybody here like beet soup? I like pickled beets. I don't think I've ever had. Well, maybe I've had beet soup, and like beets are really big in like Patagonia. Beet leaves are delicious, like a beet leaf salad. 4190 likes to swallow ah. All right, let's keep it civil here. So here, let's see what this guy has to say.
And from the zombie bot forums that turned out to be from everywhere except America.
No more freeloading in America. No food stamps for lazy people. No illegal should get my tax money. My tax dollars are not your bank account. Get a job. It's your fair share of my hard work.
What are you
You
talking
are not entitled to the money I earn all by myself.
Oh, God. You're eating your own foot.
That's not my foot. Foreign illegal.
Do you even care how you got that way?
Ooh, story time.
That probably won't help him, might help us. About 85 years ago, humanity started building our first majority middle-class societies. Yeah, the first ones in human history. How? High taxes on the ultra-rich, breaking up monopolies, millions in public sector jobs, public housing, social security regulations. We called it the New Deal, and the wealth hoarders were furious. Our next step was the Economic Bill of Rights, which was going to mean the ultra-rich would not own every bank and factory and politician anymore, and so they launched a giant propaganda war against anything that helped normal people. By the 1950s, President Truman just said what everybody was thinking. Socialism is a scare word that they hurl at every public benefit, public power, social security, bank insurance, unions, the weekend, anything that helps all the people. Keep our middle class investing in ourselves. Right up until about 1971, enter this guy, Lewis F. Powell Jr., big tobacco lawyer, Philip Morris board member, spent years claiming that cigarettes don't cause cancer and complaining that socialist invested media is not giving enough airtime to tobacco's lies. He was the perfect guy for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to hire for writing a blueprint on how to roll back that New Deal and make America great again for the ultra-rich. So Powell wrote a memo explaining how American capitalism was under attack from universities, media, activists, regulations, consumer protections, labor, and he gave corporate America his plan on how to fight back by building think tanks, taking over universities, and funding pro-wealth hoarding economists, creating media networks, flooding politics with lobbyists, and reshaping the courts. Most important was to reframe the whole idea of public spending, taxes, public power, labor protections as a tax on individual freedom and personal earnings. Conflate the identity of the ultra-rich with the general population. It's your hard-earned income they're talking about taking.
What?
I'm fine. I'm just worried about you. Getting your hard-earned money taken away by big government, welfare queens, and collectivists.
Who about the damn foot now?
And that memo became the foundational misdirection campaign of right-wing corporatists for the next 50 years.
What about what?
It became the blueprint for the Heritage Foundation, the Cato Institute, ALEC, the Federalist Society, the Coach Network, and eventually the whole Fox News universe and its little troll offspring.
The Daily Bright News, Max. Art Caller?
Yep. And now, thanks to true believers like you, about $80 trillion have shifted upwards from the bottom 90% to that top 1%. And the middle class has been shrinking ever since, to such an extent that we're not even a majority middle class society anymore.
Where'd it go?
Stock buybacks, transferring trillions from wages into executive pockets, monopolies,
Monopoly?
creating false scarcity, inflating prices beyond costs, destroying small businesses, buying out politicians to prevent any regulation, upwards, creating a tiny little billionaire overlord class. All of this a long-standing practice which inspired the quote, "Behind every great fortune, there is a crime."
So what happened to me?
So your fair share was stolen by the ultra-rich, and you were trained by their lawyer to blame your neighbor.
Hate thy neighbor as thyself.
No, that's
Hold the phone! Is that not what Jesus said?
messed up. I'm glad you like the story. Now take your foot out of your mouth. Put the full story on the website.
What website?
Dang, I am a zombie, but I don't remember much. Tell me that
I'm gonna have to check that website out. I need to educate myself? I don't think so, dark-eyed lowlander. I think you need to take your own advice. What the heck did you just watch? I was talking about at Nina. Oh, okay. Okay, dark eyed. How inflation forecasts changed. Well, I know a lot of us disagree, some agree, but we can all agree that life in the US is too goddamn expensive right now, unless you're making well into the six figures. It was supposed to be a zombie eating his foot. I think it was supposed to be satirical. We're right back up to 3% inflation again. And it's because of the tariffs. Trump actually had inflation going down. Look at this chart. So he had inflation going down, but then here's Liberation Day, or it's somewhere here, I guess. But anyway, when the tariffs started taking hold, wait, no, I'm wrong. This is Biden. So Biden, inflation was really high because this is COVID right here, right? Then they were getting them down, and then, you know, his policies started going south. Inflation went up to 3%, and then, yeah, look, Liberation Day was in here somewhere, wasn't it in February 1st or something like that? Trump was going down till then, and then, you know, he implemented all the tariffs, and now it's right back up a little bit higher than it was when Joe Biden left office. And I mean, I know you guys think, because I say I'm progressive, that I love Joe Biden. I was vehemently against Joe Biden winning in 2020. I was a Bernie guy back in 2015 and 2020, and I thought he was wronged by the Democrat Party. Excuse me, I'm an independent. I'm not registered as a Democrat. I believe, you know, I'm against all the neoconservatives on both sides. I think progressivism needs to win the day, and I think it is winning the day. I think Trump is pushing it along. People are now saying, you know, this is crazy. Trump's economy is, you know, sure, Trump's family made $800 million just this year, but how about you? How about us? What about us? I mean, I don't get Medicaid, but people who lose Medicaid, I mean, a lot of those people are Trump voters, to be honest. They're losing their SNAP benefits. I don't get that either, but I'm sure people who get SNAP benefits need SNAP benefits. 40% of people who get SNAP benefits are children. They're all the same. When Sleepy Joe fell off his bike, oh my God. You know, I do remember that. Didn't he break a bone or something like that? I was already like not paying attention by then. You know, I knew I wasn't going to vote for Trump. So I did vote for Harris. I admit it, but I did not like her campaign. I didn't like her. But to me, it was like why a lot of people voted for Trump. They thought it was the, you know, better of two evils or whatever. But name calling is all they know. dark-eyed lowlander. Why vote for Harris? Wasn't she a groupie? She was a groupie, but why vote for Trump? I mean, do you see what Trump is doing to brown people? All the things he's doing now are against the Constitution. He's getting away with it because the Supreme Court is, a Heritage Foundation elected, appointed Supreme Court who are, mostly Christian nationalists. Let's face it, Amy Coney Barrett, Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, they're all Christian nationalists. Please enlighten you as a British person. Enlighten you to why I voted for Harris. Because Trump is, first of all, I hate nepotism. I hate Nepo babies. Trump's a Nepo baby. He had $1 million in the bank before he was 1 year old, for one, He squandered the $400 million he inherited, and because of his name and his reputation, he got his TV show and he made a lot of it back. And, he grifted billions more. Yes, we are brothers and sisters. Although I come from Italian family heritage. My brother-in-law is British, actually, born and raised in Manchester. He actually died young, too much alcohol and other stuff, but it was because my sister got early onset dementia when she was 50, and she died young during COVID, and he basically drank himself to death after but he was a great guy. Just, he always held his emotions in. I think that's very British. So he drank his sorrows away, didn't talk to anybody for months on end. Next thing we know, he was in his house, dead. Diddy is innocent. I don't know about that. I saw that video of him beating up his girlfriend. Anybody who could treat their girlfriend like that isn't innocent of much. You're from Liverpool, not far from Manchester. Yeah, I've never been. I should have gone with Peter. That was his name, Peter Fanning. I tell you what, he married my sister when he was 21. I was 12, and one of the, this is back in the 80s, and he was a punk rocker. He introduced me to bands like The Clash and the Sex Pistols and stuff like that. But this older kid on the block, the kid was way older than me. He was 18. I think he had now that I look back, I think he was disturbed, some kind of mental problem or something. But he used to pick on me all the time, and one time out in front of the house, I tried standing up to him and he just decked me. And Peter came out with his Doc Martens on, and Peter was small, my brother-in-law. He wasn't a very big guy. This kid was bigger than him. And the kid threw his bike at him, and Peter just beat the shit out of him in the street. It was hilarious. Stop with thinking you know stuff. Talk is cheap. Do something worthy of a God that died for you. Yeah, I'm an atheist, so the Bible's just a book written by men. Once you realize that, you feel a lot better. Claire, you should convince your vampire boy to go to Mars. Wow, Small World. I grew up with The Who and The Clash. Yeah, The Who was also a favorite band of his. He was a bass player too, so he actually, this is going back, but he was in a band in Westbury, Long Island with Steve Vai before Steve Vai started playing with Frank Zappa. I never met Steve Vai, but that's a cool story. Hello, Femios. Who's Vampire Boy? I don't know. Do you support trans rights? Yeah, sure, I support trans rights. I'm in the Philippines right now. Like I said, I spend a few months a year in the Philippines, and it's such a Catholic country here, but there's so many trans people here, um, and like everybody just accepts them. It's not like the social issue it is in the U.S. You know, they're just here, they're around, everybody's friends with, they call them lady boys here. I don't think that's politically correct, but they even call themselves that, you know. Elon Musk, the vampire boy, yeah. Oh, I see, dark eyes. I live near Turnberry Golf Course, and the people don't like it now. Yeah, that's the one Trump owns in Ireland, right? Or Scotland, sorry. Trump loves Scotland. I think he's, my father, who was, you know, not a good person, but he was Scottish, of Scottish descent. I never met him. That's part of he's not a good person. He left my mom with 5 kids when I was 2 years old, and my brother was 1 and my sister was 3, and then we had 2 other children from a previous marriage, but he left my mom with all of them, like the classic, like, Breakfast Club story. He left for like a pack of cigarettes, went to the store and never returned ever. Like I never met him after I was 2 years old. I love the trans conversation. Sorry to hear that. Yeah. Well, it's been many years, but it did affect my life in a lot of negative ways. I think I've never been married. I think that's because of the way my father left my mother. It always left this, thing, I guess. This hang up for me. Trans as in transactional. Laugh out loud. Trump is transactional, that's for sure. Everything's a transaction. I love Transformers too. I grew up with Transformers. Not as much as I was into comic books as a kid, but my favorite comic was actually the Fantastic Four, which aren't that cool now. And then, X-Men was up there, and of course Batman and Superman. Same? You mean same like your dad took off? Wild 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You see everything in 3D. Alexander. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I know. There's definitely a lot of guys or people that are in that boat. It definitely affected my life, My father died when I was 19, but I never met him. But I remember when he died, it didn't, my grandmother, his mom, kept in touch with us. She sent us like gifts on our birthdays and stuff, and she informed us that he died. And I acted like I was happy, but that was just a kid acting tough, basically at the time. Brett, man, what's going on here? Rest in peace, yeah. Rest in peace. He made my mother's life a living hell, I'll tell you that. Just scroll into this stream. All right, Brett, man. We're talking about politics and life and everything else. But mostly the channel's about current events, American politics, that kind of thing. So go ahead and subscribe. Cares. Hearts. Dark-eyed Lowlander, thank you. Everybody has their hardships in life. Even, ridiculously wealthy people like Trump. Everybody can realize that. I got put in care. Oh, like fostered? They tried to foster us, and my aunt took us, which I had a solid family, my mom's family. My grandparents, my grandfather basically stepped in as my father. I mean, he didn't live with us, but he lived about a mile away, and he disciplined me when my mother couldn't. Wild, sorry to hear that. Makes you the person you are today. Yeah, I mean, everything makes you the person you are, but yeah, I definitely had a rough childhood, and maybe someday on this I'll get into it more. It's like a after school movie. A children's home. Yeah, see? Wild, read the comments. Wild there went into a children's home, so he probably had it even worse than me. My mom's family was, very supportive, so we had that. Like in New York, my grandparents, my grandfather was an old time Italian, so he had like a nice piece of property on Long Island. He grew all these vegetables, so we always had fresh vegetables from him, and we were on welfare for a while. I remember we got the government cheese, if anyone remembers that from the 80s, like the government block of cheese. My opinion is we should stop supporting Israel. Um, I mean, I haven't always had that opinion, but this last year, 2 years in Gaza, and just the fact that they let someone like Netanyahu run the country, who he's basically a murderer. He's killing. They are killing children all the time. I've traveled quite extensively around the world, and I gotta admit, met a lot of people from Israel, I have two great friends from Israel that I met in Colorado when I was like 20. They were traveling, they just got out of the military, Idal and Ido, and they're great guys. But a lot of Israelis I met around the world, they're very closed people. They don't like talk to foreigners and stuff. Like, I've been to Argentina when I was younger on kayaking trips and stuff. I used to be like a pro whitewater kayaker. No, sorry, I'm losing my voice. And but I'm totally against it, and I think we should stop the flow of weapons and money. First of all, Israel doesn't need our money. We need our money in the U.S. Everybody in Israel has free college and free health care. I have a real problem with that. I've had a lot of college debt from going to school, because I didn't, I had nobody paying for my college when I was a kid. Thank you for your humane stance. You are a true gentleman. Well, thank you. That's a very nice compliment. My upbringing is textbooks. Mom, dad, still together, 45 plus years. I can't retire, but wish you the very best. Can't relate, sorry. But wish you the very best. Yeah, just because you had a good upbringing, doesn't mean you're a bad person at all. I thank you for wishing me the very best. I mean, that was a long, long time ago. I was a kid, and I started working when I was 14 years old, landscaping in the summers in school. I've never stopped since then working, basically. So I worked my way out of the hole I was born into, but I'll never be rich. But yeah. I remember when we got free butter back in the day. Was it butter or margarine? We used to eat margarine when I was a kid. Now I don't eat butter. True brother, why is you the best? Thank you. Yeah, I remember we used to go. I feel like it was a truck, I was so young, that we get the free cheese out of. But also, there's some embarrassing things. In Colorado, we just voted this year on free lunches for all the kids in school. Like everybody gets free lunch. But when I was a kid, because we were poor, me and my brother and my sister, the three of us went to school together, we're just a year apart. We got free lunch, but we had to carry this free lunch pass, and we didn't get the whatever lunch we wanted. We got the blue plate special or whatever every day. But my first fight, not my first, but my first fight in junior high, where I grew up in New York, you go to sixth grade and then seventh grade, eighth and ninth. We're in junior high, and then high school was 10th, 11th, and 12th. But it was real scary for young kids, you know. Your elementary school is like in your neighborhood, but then you go to junior high and everybody's like, oh, you're gonna get knifed in junior high, you know, you're gonna get, you know, this and that, beat up all the time and stuff. But anyway, we had these free lunch passes, and everybody would be waiting in line for lunch. And some of the kids, I remember this one kid, Joe, he would, you know, he was picking on my brother for having a free lunch pass, calling him like, oh, you're poor. And it was like my first fight in junior high, because my brother was a year younger than me, and I felt like I needed to stick up for him. And I just punched this kid in the face, and we got into a fight in the lunchroom. It was broken up real quick. But that, him and he had two brothers, and I had my brother. We were enemies and we're not anymore, or for a long time have been, but all through junior high and high school, all the brothers, like we were enemies, like we're always fighting. Wild, you in UK? No, I was in the US. I grew up in New York. Oh, wow. Oh, you're talking about Wild. Yeah. Yeah, he is in the UK. Scotland back in the early 80s. Oh, and you did get butter? Yeah, we got margarine this was in the 80s for me too. But I remember eating a lot of margarine and those big gallons of milk. We did get a lot of milk. I drank tons of milk when I was a kid. Hey, if someone messes with my brother, it's on. Yeah, my brother was this little skinny kid. He turned out to be, you know, a much better fighter. We actually went to the Police Boys Association for boxing after that. My brother was a much more talented fighter than me, but at that time I was just way bigger than him. And oh, Red Hot Chili Peppers, awesome. Californication. I'm a terrible singer. I do karaoke sometimes here in the Philippines. My go-to song is Sweet Child of Mine, because I can imitate Axl Rose pretty good, but other than that, I can't carry a tune at all. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to get going. I hope you guys subscribe and come around. Hopefully I'll be able to do another one of these. I have a 2-month-old baby right now. Yeah, my first child I had here in the Philippines. So she takes up a ton of my time. I subbed to you the next one. I'm gonna try and do another one tomorrow. I'm gonna have to move to the Philippines soon. USA gets any more. Yeah, but there are some things about the Philippines. You need to be a very patient person to live here. But I live in a big place here, and it's cheap. I pay $200 a month for it. I have a woman that comes over and, you know, watches the kid during the day, so my fiance could do her thing. You know, she likes to clean and stuff like that, and I pay her basically $10 a day, the lady, to come over and watch the kid. You could live a lot cheaper here for sure. It's hard to get some good food, you know, Filipino food. Like, my fiance cooks. That's part of the reason she loves to cook. She wants to start a cooking YouTube channel, but anyway, she loves to cook, so that's what she does a lot. And you know, the food she cooks is really good. But restaurant food here, if you don't like McDonald's, there's a McDonald's in almost every town, or Jollibee, which is the Philippine fast food place. If you don't like that stuff, I don't eat too much fast food just because, you know, it's just not good for you once in a while. Those are the only good restaurants. Like they have little carinderias, they call them, which are like little local restaurants where you get a meal for $1. It's not bad if you're in a pinch, but wow, 200 a month is amazing. Yeah, it is. And then I pay another $100 on top of that for air conditioning, basically. No, that's the whole electricity bill. And then you could pay anywhere from $15 a month to $30 a month for your internet. I get the expensive connection, but right now it's kind of slow. I've had the internet people over here twice in the last couple of days. They're trying to figure out why I'm not getting the 2 megabytes per hour I'm supposed to get. So I pay for the $30 a month plan, but you could get it for, and everything's prepaid here. Like your phone, you could get a prepaid plan for as little as, and I did this for a long time, like $2 a week for unlimited data. I mean, and just pay it by the week. When you run out, you just buy another little plan, and you can buy them at any sorry store, which are like these little stores that are all over the place. And I live right on the beach. If it was daytime, I'd show you guys. There's literally a reef right behind my house. I go reef diving in here. Hello, I'm good. I'm about to go. Sorry you came so late. Subscribe though. Why not get solar panels? I'm gonna actually. Now that I have a kid here and stuff, I'm not married to my fiance, but we are gonna get married soon. My first marriage, actually. And then I'm gonna buy land, and then, right now I'm just renting, so it's not really worth it to invest. It's investing in solar panels is about the same price. Like to set up a house, it's probably 10 grand. I'm guessing. I haven't looked into it too much, 5 to 10 grand, but I have looked into in the U.S. and that's about how much to power a house, with air conditioning, to get that kind of system going. Yeah, I do believe in aliens from outer space. What is that equation? I was just talking about that the other day. There's that, I learned it in astronomy class in college. The I can't remember. It's named after the guy who came up with the equation. It's basically a mathematical formula for like how many planets are suspected to be in the universe, how many of them, probability of being inhabited and all that and stuff. And if you follow that equation, it's pretty much says that there almost has to, statistically there has to be aliens. Now whether or not they're advanced enough to make it to our planet, because from our space exploration, it's very hard to go even a short way from the planet because of an organic matter lifespan and all that stuff. But yeah, I do believe there has to be something out there. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. It's getting late here, and I've been on a little over an hour, but I'll be back. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.